Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
This is Terrence Winter, writer and executive producer of The Sopranos, creator and executive producer of Boardwalk Empire, and the new Vinyl on HBO. And you're listening to my friends Douglas Viviani and David Cohen on Everything Old is New Again.
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. This is Douglas Viviani with the ever-creative David Cohen.
Yes, thank you, Douglas. I'm quite creative.
Why are you creative?
Because today, we've been talking about this for a long time. It's the unplugged version of Everything Old is New Again, right?
Exactly. No clips except for in and out of commercials. Right. And the point of the show is... basically, the question, Mike, our engineer, is celebrating because he just has to press one button every 11 minutes, you know.
Yeah, you guys should do more of that. Yeah,
that show it came out great, man. You guys are great on the air.
I love the ad-libbing, man. I could sleep for an entire hour. That's really not how he sounds at all.
No, well, that's creative
like
license.
Man, man.
Here he is. That's what he sounds at home.
Say something, Mike.
He actually does sound like him. Week after week, I get one question asked of me more than any other. Did you take out the garbage? The second question, where do you get the ideas for your show from? You like that? This week, we will break down that fourth wall and give you a little peek into the making of Everything Old is New Again, the radio show. Could be fun to hear David and I debate and develop show ideas right here and now. And stay tuned, because for future weeks, or in future weeks, you may hear the final product of what we are developing today, which might be the germ of an idea. You're on the ground floor of Everything Old is New Again.
Right. And unlike the polished, flawless shows that we usually do, this one is completely unscripted. Right? I mean, this is 100% truth. We have no idea what we're about to talk about right now, other than some show concepts. So Doug will call me up during the week and we'll brainstorm about stuff. And then one night we said, you know what? There's a show.
Exactly.
Let's brainstorm. Or two or five. Right.
Believe it or not, David has ideas as well, but I just jotted down.
Believe it or not,
I have jotted down 20 ideas for future shows, and that's just like off the top of my head in like 15 minutes.
You're a genius.
Well, I don't mean to say that, but it does sound that way, doesn't it? But and if the truth, if the hat fits, wear it. But really, it's just that everything is based upon something from the past. And we're in entertainment field, we talk about that. True. But everything is built upon something else, as we described throughout our show. And so, just keeping my eyes and ears open, just thinking along those lines, there's so many ideas. So we can just dive in and see. Right. We basically pitch ideas to each other and try to come up with, as you see, unique ways to present maybe something that may have been presented before, like Star Wars. But I think our Star Wars show was very unique and presented different information that I don't think you've heard anywhere before, and that's important as well.
You sound a little bit like Donald Trump right there.
I do.
We did the best Star Wars show. There's no equal.
If we're not going to promote ourselves, no one is going to promote us. Exactly.
And if we're not going to listen to our own show, never mind. Let's get into it.
No, I'm not going to get into it.
Why?
Because I am very excited to announce the acquisition, if you will, or they acquired us. I don't know how you say that, but yet another station has joined the Everything Old is New Again affiliate network.
We need a bell in here. Every time there's a new station, we got to ring the bell.
Exactly.
That's great. Who is it?
It is, are you ready? Drum roll. I should get that on tape, a drum roll on tape. Is 11:50 a.m. KKNW. And that is a station located and broadcasting in the Seattle, Washington area.
Oh, that's big.
Huge 10,000 watt station. It is tremendous. It has been around since 1927 under different call letters, but it's been around since 27. And
that was 3 years before you were born.
Correct.
Pretty impressive.
And speaking of 27, it was the year of the Yankees' greatest team of all time.
That's right.
And one of the Yankees' greatest players, who's not performed too well in Seattle, is in Seattle and can be hearing and listening to our show right now. None other than
Cano.
Robinson Cano. What's up with him? Why can't he get a hit?
I don't know. Can he? Robbie, as they used to call him in
Yes.
New York, can you call in and talk to us about it, please?
I would like to know, and everybody who's listening to us is saying the same thing. Let's hopefully he has a good year this year. Although, I'm kind of upset he left for a huge amount of money, and I didn't want the Yankees to pay him that money. But he was homegrown. He was a real good ball player.
It was a big
all-star,
loss.
of course. Yeah. And I would have thought he would be the next. In Yankees tradition, we like to have like at least one player from Ruth to Gehrig to DiMaggio to Mantle, somebody that carries the mantle, so to speak, of the name and face of the franchise. And after Jeter left, I thought it was going to be Robinson Cano until, of course, he leaves. And now we kind of don't have that player. Do we have that player now? No.
Like a Cano type player?
A player that you could say is the man
embodies the Yankees?
Yeah.
Not at this point.
Not at this point. So we're back into the 70s era where they just didn't have that guy.
Not. Yeah, I hope not.
So let's hope not. But welcome aboard.
Welcome.
I'm very, very happy to have this show broadcast in that terrific part of the country. I would love for you to tune in on Sunday nights at 1 a.m. right before the last thing you listen to before you go to sleep and to work the next day.
Right. What else are you doing in Seattle at 1 a.m. on Sunday? Come on.
Exactly. Vinyl is over. Our favorite show, Vinyl, is done. In the can. Walking Dead is done. Talking Dead is done. Now it's time
Let's see what Doug and Dave have.
Exactly. Speaking of which, we started the show with a little...
no, the show's half over already. See that? Now we're not going to get to pitch our ideas.
Well, did you hear that? That whistling? What was that? The beginning of our show, that song.
Andy Griffith.
Right. So to me, I think it's kind of ripe to talk about homespun television. We used to have like Andy Griffith's show.
We're not going to. What are you doing? Well, I thought we were going to start pitching ideas.
This is it. This is my idea.
About Andy Griffith.
This is my show. Let me present the idea.
Oh, this is the idea?
This is the idea.
Oh, God. Doug is not a good pitch man, as you can tell. By the time he gets around to he's got to tell me the whole history before he reveals the actual subject matter.
That is the subject.
In
the
1947
homespun show. The idea is, where is it? What happened to the homespun show? Has the I would say, back in the day, that was the culture of America. You would see the Waltons, you'd see Little House on the Prairie, you'd see little vignettes of stories with lessons learned, you'd see westerns. All of that is gone, or is it gone? That's the question.
That's why they're gone.
Yeah,
they're boring.
I don't know. Has Modern Family and
that's not homespun.
I'm saying has Modern Family replaced the Andy Griffith type of show to represent the family in America?
I think so. What's that show you like that's kind of homespun?
The Goldbergs.
The Goldbergs.
Yep.
That's probably the closest thing to those shows, right?
That's correct, and that's why I love it. But why are there not more? Has the American family changed? Oh, could you say that?
You can, of course you can. Because it's not, I don't know, I don't feel it's the modern age anymore. But if you want to do like an homage to them, you could juxtapose it against, like you were saying, like Modern Family.
Exactly. Okay. My idea is that families have not changed. The fact that we have families, if you will, that you live with people and that they give you support.
Those old shows about those weren't realistic.
Well, that's
families.
The whole point. We could show how they gave a facade, if you will, or some what would you say, the goal of what they think family life could and should have been like Leave It a Beaver and that kind of thing. But now I think we're a little more realistic with a Modern Family and some other shows that show what America, or what I guess it'll be American families are like now.
You seem to have the yearning for the old type of.
I don't care about the family unit per se, who are in the family unit. I care that there is a family unit.
Right.
I think the family unit has changed, but I don't think that the need for a family unit has changed.
Why are we hearing the Beatles?
Because that's live. The Beatles live from the Hollywood Bowl. We'll be right back.
Meaning what?
Another show. All right, so that's my idea for the first one. Do you have one that you feel you would like to present, or do you want to say something else for the next 2 minutes?
My question to you, though, on that was, do you feel a yearning, not for the family unit in general, but I mean for those kinds of shows? Would you like to see another, like Little House on the Prairie, this idealized family or town on TV again?
Yes.
Really? Even though it has no basis in reality?
I'm not saying that. I say we could have them based in reality, but there are, and many, maybe the majority of families have family-type issues every day that are just, who's going to pick up the kids from school, who so-and-so is sick, who's taking off work to, I don't know, whatever it might be. The problem.
We know who's taking out the garbage already. That's been clear.
And that kind of stuff. And the family, the typical family disputes that occur, and how do you resolve them? Or just coming coming of age stories. They're all basically coming of age stories, and they still have them to this day, but they're a lot less. And I think children need and families need something to be able to tune into that teaches a positive lesson that you can talk about with your kids later.
All right, I like that. That's a good angle.
All right, so we've won you over.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's.
But that's usually. I mean, this is usually how it goes. I mean, you'll give me an idea, and I'll, first make fun of it. That's what I do. But then, I mean, if it makes sense, let's do it. I like it. Yes.
All right. So there we go. So we've got one in the book, although most of our listening audience has not heard what we just said for the last.
That's okay.
minutes.
We'll come back. We'll come back and do it for the rest of the people.
And that's some of the behind the scenes as well. This portion of the show is not on the affiliate network, so you're getting a little more behind the scenes here on LI News Radio and the podcast on Everything Old is New Again.biz, although you already know that because that's how you got to the show. Everything Old is New Again.biz. We'll be back. Key the Beatles. Cue them. Thanks, guys.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Hey, this is Daphne Ashbrook, and you're listening to Everything Old is New Again. It's lovely.
Hello, my name is Fraser Hines. I played Jamie McCrimmon, the longest-running companion in Doctor Who, and you're listening to Everything Old is New Again, Jamie.
Hey, Jamie. What does he say? Is he saying talking to himself?
I don't know.
It's weird. This is Douglas Viviani, and I'm with the ever interested David Cohen, who is curious about my idea of the homespun show. I would call it that, or the family show.
Right.
Not a sitcom, but a family show.
So my question is to you: is what you would like to see is an old show like Little House on the Prairie, Andy Griffith, the Family Ideal sort of thing. That's what you want to see on TV?
Yes, like it doesn't need to be back in the westerns or back in a different time period, although it could if need be. But I think what we need would be some shows for children to watch with their families, to go through some coming-of-age stories, what it's like to grow up, the typical problems, how those problems are solved today, which may be different when they were solved back in the 1950s and 60s. But I would like to see that happen, where we've got some television where it's can be shared with the family, maybe a coming-of-age learning kind of discussion at the end of the show.
So not necessarily a hokey show where there's the idealized family, but something that's going to show everyday problems, but that a kid can watch with the parents.
Exactly. Which is like a Modern Family, but I'm talking about more of a serious kind of a show.
All right. No, I like that.
So that'll work. I see how you turned them around.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's how this works. Sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't.
Usually going up against that, which is a great question. Honestly, we joke, but it's the question that David says many times is, well, why are we doing that show? What's the point?
Right.
And that's really the driving force behind the ideas and development of the show, is to figure out why would someone want to listen to that. If we just said, hey, let's just do a show that gives an homage to these kind of shows, to Andy Griffith and Leave It to Beaver and whatever, and the movie Our or the play Our Town, so what?
Right. Well, you just shot down all my ideas for shows as I'm looking at my list. I have no idea why we'd be doing these.
Let's hear one.
All right, I'll throw one out at you right now. This is a perfect example. Let's do a show about the best breakfast cereals of all time.
The best breakfast
cereals. Quist versus Quake, Count Chocula versus Boo Berry, that sort of stuff.
Why? Why are we doing that?
Yeah, right. That's the part I need your help with that.
Well, I would say that, breakfast is important, has changed.
Breakfast
over time. Why don't you look at the history of breakfast and where did breakfast cereal come from? It's only since, let's say, what would you say, 40s maybe?
Yeah.
So what did people eat for breakfast before then, and why? Why has it changed? That's kind of like, maybe that's 3 minutes of the show.
Right.
But beyond that, I think the commercials is fun. I think
That's
if you
true.
look at
that was a big
breakfast
part of
cereal and the commercials,
the stuff inside the cereal was big,
and the prizes, right?
That's a lot of reasons why you bought the cereal, right? It was for the prize.
Yes, and what's happening now? I just read that millennials are not eating cereal. It's too much work. Believe it or not, that's the headline. I'm not kidding. Yeah.
Seriously?
Too much work.
But then what are they eating?
They just go to a drive-thru. They go to whatever place, Taco Bell, and get burrito or whatever it might be, and they're on their way.
So is it the death of the breakfast cereal? Maybe that's.
Well, why are there no more characters? There used to be Captain Crunch. There used to be whatever, all the ones you just mentioned, Crisp and Quake and Boo Berry and what. There are no, except for the ones that are still, Tricks Are for Kids. What's that? Rabbit, whatever.
Yeah, the Rabbit.
But for the most part, there are no characters left.
So even when you're watching, the daytime TV shows with your kids, you don't see a lot of breakfast cereal commercials.
Never. If you do, it's very rare. Very rare.
Because of it's just bad for you with all the sugar in it, and that must be part of it.
You really rarely ever see any advertisement. It's almost like cigarettes in a way. Really, it's strange. There's very little, unless they're the healthy type.
So other than it being a fun thing to talk about, there's
do something else. Like why else? Maybe we do a cooking show. Maybe we have the barbecue guy come in and say, what's the modern alternative to breakfast cereals? I don't know.
Possibly. All right. Okay. Well,
we'll have to work on that.
It's a fun idea, but why would anyone want to hear about it other than?
And how do you make an hour out of it? And
we could. Well, your idea about the commercials, that was a big part of cereal growing up.
Commercials is great, and maybe what we should do is maybe get an idea of what people might be eating in the future. Since things are changing and evolving, what is going to
the other thing about, not to harp on the breakfast cereal thing, but like it was something that you would talk about with your friends, right? You took a side, whether you were Quisp or Quake or your brothers or your sisters. Like there were definite point of views.
It's gone.
Cereal.
The personality is gone, almost out of all kids' advertising. There's no characters. Show me a new character that any kid is watching and taking advice from in a commercial.
Right.
On cartoons, yes, but in a commercial. It's not happening.
Look, Tony the Tiger was my idol, and
it's done.
Looks where it got me. Look where it got me here.
Yeah.
Sitting with you. All right, what do you have? What's
I
next?
got Eddie the Eagle. Sometimes we look at, of course, what's new, what's happening new.
True.
Eddie the Eagle movie is a big hit. And the question is, I know it's easy
about
to say.
Skier, right?
A skier that really is not talented, or at least didn't grow up talented, didn't grow up with physical attributes, thick glasses, small body, not strong, not muscular, but had drive, like a Rudy type. Remember that movie? Mm-hmm. Almost like Flashdance as well. That wasn't a true story. And Cool Runnings, the Jamaican bobsled team, and Rocky again. That's fictional, but I'm kind of focusing more on the real life. Rocky, if you will. Why do we continue to go back? Even like Hoosiers is based on a real underdog, but a real college team. Why are we going back to these real stories? And what was that one with the football player at the top of my head with
Rudy?
No, the other one with Sandra.
With Sandra Bullock, the real life football player.
Right, another one there. Yeah. So there's always these real life stories of people that are down and out and fighting against whatever it might be, the obstacle, and achieving. It's something in the human psyche that wants to see that. And I bet you there was an Eddie the Eagle. I bet you in the first Olympics. We may not be able to figure out who it is, but I bet you it goes back to the earliest cultures.
Right.
How did they treat the Eddie the Eagle? Would Eddie the Eagle have been successful in Rome? I don't really think so.
You don't think this is too universal, been done a million times kind of
Possibly,
subject?
But I think if you look back, not just at Eddie the Eagle and the inspiration and the way they do it, but if you look at different cultures dealt with those kind of people, my question is, as we just started to say, in Rome, which was apparently a more strict and difficult environment to grow up in, that underdog story did not live, or did it? I don't think there's a story of Eddie the Eagle in the Olympics in Rome, if that makes sense, or in Greece, I should say, or in the Roman day. What happened? Was it survival of the fittest, and those guys just were left by the wayside? I'm just kind of, the idea is, I don't know that every society celebrates the underdog.
You think so? It's an American
do.
thing.
I think it is. I really do. But it's just a postulation. I don't know. I'd like to know: is it universal or is it just American? I think it's just American.
I would imagine you're right. Although I'm sure other countries. Look, what do I know? But
he's from England, so of course there's part of it. But a lot of people borrow from all cultures. I'm not just saying American. But I think this theme is an American theme. That's just me. I don't know.
Okay.
I got to get into it more because I don't want to just do.
You got to flesh it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't want to just do another. Oh, it's another Rocky. Oh, it's another Flashdance. Oh, isn't that wonderful? We're so inspired and whatever. It's a great story. Right. It's inspirational. I love it. But why?
Yeah.
And other societies did not and do not admire the underdog. I can guarantee you there are societies on this planet now that do not admire the underdog. It's survival of the fittest.
Right.
Should we admire the underdog? Is that admirable or not? Is it a weakness of ours or is it a strength?
Right.
I think it's a strength, but we need to kind of roll the sleeves up and see why, if it's a strength, why it is.
So back to the breakfast cereal for a minute. No. All right. Can I throw another one at you?
Yes.
We've talked about this before. We may be running out of time in this segment, but let me just throw it out there. Women in movies, especially action movies, and the rise of women in those roles. Forget about the pay scale; that is a completely other topic. But just the prominence of women in movies. Let's do that. We haven't done
Absolutely.
that.
They're coming out with Ghostbusters with 4 prominent women. They're changing that. We could definitely look at the evolution of women in film. I think it's perfect. That's a great one.
Especially action movies. It's
Okay.
Mad Max.
Mad Max,
with,
right.
Even Spy with Melissa McCarthy. I can name 3 or 4 that have come out in the last year alone. So we should do that.
Absolutely. I think we're out of time. We'll be back. Everything else do again. Say, Charlie, why the arm in the sling?
Yeah, I walked straight into that busted street sign in front of Frank's Automat.
Well, you must have been really sore at him.
You said it, pal. I said, say, what's a big idea of making a fella trip out there? I was going to sock him right in the kisser.
He's all wet. Why, you ought to sue him, Charlie.
I have half a mind to do just that. But where am I going to get that kind of dough?
Say, I know a fella just got me out of a big jam, and he didn't break the bank.
You don't say.
Yeah, the law office of Douglas Viviani.
The law office of Douglas Viviani?
That's right, the law office of Douglas Viviani.
Viviani.
That's what I said, Viviani.
He a straight shooter?
He's a cat's meow.
He's on the up and up?
Doug's ace is with me.
Is that so?
He's a bee's knees.
Well, that's just swell. You have his number?
You can call him at 631-681-1910 or email him at vivianilaw.com.
Wait, what was that last part?
What, email?
Yeah, what's email?
vivianilaw.com.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
This is Bobby Clark for Everything Old is New Again, and a nostalgic look to the future.
Everything old is new.
Everything old is new again.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
There you go.
Everything old as new.
Is new again.
Oh, yeah. Everything new is old again.
Everything old is new again.
And so what am I saying? Okay. Hello, my name's Wendy Padbury, and I'm listening to Everything Old is New Again.
There you go. A little behind the scenes. I figured since we're doing behind the scenes of Everything Old is New Again, developing topics, I'd show you a little behind the scenes. I'm trying to get some people just to say our show correctly and give us a little bit of a push.
You'd think she'd know by that. We've been on the air for so long, and it goes out to so many people. How could you not? Maybe because she's from England.
She's from
that's
England.
why they don't get it over there.
Well, she could get it if she wanted to. I gave her my card. She might be listening now because you can get it on the internet for sure.
Right.
Go to your local radio station.
All right, listen. You come up with 99% of the ideas for the show, which is great. But can I just throw one more?
Of course.
This is really timely. I think you might like this one.
Okay.
All right. It's thinking out of the box here.
It's not cereal.
Out of the envelope. I'm thinking.
All right.
The greatest presidential candidate characters. In other words, people who've run for president who were real characters. Like, for example, Ross Perot. Remember him? Remember his running mate? Admiral Stockwell, where he started wandering from the lectern during the TV debate. Yeah. Dan Quayle, maybe like moments in debates, things like that. But just because it's really obviously timely at this point.
Like people that are running for office that shouldn't be, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have.
Right. Maybe didn't make the right move there.
Is there
some
enough
did
of
it for
that?
humor, like Pat Paulson. Remember him?
Yes.
From a long time
Pat
ago?
Paulson was we have to expand it though, because how many real people that we can get any kind of real understanding of? There's not that many, are there, that we get clips of? And like George Washington's running mate, we didn't really have a chance to get to know, so I'm not, or have a clip of, so I don't know if we could do.
Well, we can reenact. We'll have the Movie Tone News.
We could
do
certainly,
that.
of course, we could certainly do that.
We could do some research. There's some I'm sure there were presidential candidates that were just real characters.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. Just
I would like to do maybe the ones that lost is really more interesting. And why? And it's probably because they're meeting this scenario. But you know what I mean? Like the ones we won, we kind of know every president and whatever. I want to know the ones that lost and what they did after they lost.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
the oddest things, like the ones that turned out to do the oddest things. What did the greatest things? Like I don't know. So did they ever move? Was that the end of their career? Did they continue to do something else that was stellar? Like if they're really, you tell me, if they're really in the prime of life and they're a stellar individual and they lose an election like that, even if it's just for governor, but for president, national office. Is that it? Do they just give up? Or isn't a stellar person someone that picks themselves up and goes back to the drawing board and reinvents themselves?
Yeah.
I would love to know the one that lost and reinvented themselves.
Right.
That's
a good way to approach it.
President lost and reinvent.
Maybe that's the old new again angle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I want to know what they did after that. Not one that was, I don't know if there were any like in the 70s or whatever, not to put them down, but, they're sort of towards the end. But someone that ran in the prime of their life and just lost. Like Nixon, listen, Nixon lost, he came back. Right. We know his story. We wouldn't do that, but that's an example. I mean, that guy, like him or not, he had chutzpah, right? I mean, he picked himself up off the ground and became president again. I shouldn't say again, but he was vice president, became president after the whole assassination of Kennedy, his rival. So I'm just saying he had some intestinal fortitude. I want to know about the guys that lost and what they did after that.
Yeah,
it has to be
there
guys.
Could be something
that
there.
Did stuff.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, even like Reagan lost. You can't use him again, but I'm just saying, for example, Reagan lost and they did some more movies and stuff, didn't he? Or not? And then came back. I don't know what he did before.
You thinking of Schwarzenegger, maybe?
Schwarzenegger's another one. Went back to doing the movies.
Right.
I want the losers is really the main thing. I'm trying to think of examples, but I want the losers and what they did after.
Okay.
So I think I like that.
Flesh that out more.
Let's hope there are some that actually did something good.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, right.
It might be. I mean, it takes. I'm assuming it takes a lot out of you. I don't know if they do anything else after. I don't know. I think it's an interesting topic.
Okay. Thanks for throwing me that bone.
I think one that's pretty cool is that we've seen Adrian Brody in Houdini miniseries last year.
Okay.
There's a lot of magic shows on TV. There's David Blaine. There's Penn and Teller Fools Us is still on.
Right.
There's Chris Angel who's running around town all over the place on and he's in Vegas as well. This Houdini memorabilia shows up everywhere all the time for millions of dollars. There is still an attraction to magic, and there are still magic shows on TV. So I want to look at magic. I want to look at what's the fascinations in a sort of an odd way. Look at the oddest magic tricks, maybe ones that didn't work, that not took a life, but what do the magicians try to use. And better than that, I want to do, and I already know that I can do one, if not two, magic tricks on the radio. Now, I'm not saying do the trick with you. I'm saying do the trick with the audience.
So that it's an audio magic trick.
Exactly. With the audience at home, make it up. I'm not saying this is going to be the trick, but think of a number from 1 to 10. Everybody at home, think of your number. Okay, the number's 7, and have that be correct. I'm not saying that's going to be what it is, but it's a magic trick.
But where's
on
the
radio.
new? So, because magic, I don't know if it's really in vogue, as they say.
Well, that's
right
the question.
Now,
Chris Angel took the world by storm 2-3 years ago on cable. He was going crazy. He parlayed that into he's playing in Vegas like.
But nobody followed him. Like I don't recall seeing any recent magic shows. So where's the new?
He's touring
the old
now, but the new is Penn and Teller is also on television. Fool Us is their show, and that's on right now and been renewed for the 8th season. And I'll find some more. There is definite magic out there. There's a show called The Magicians that's on Sci-Fi
but
TV.
It's not magic, right?
It is magic.
It's a ripoff of Harry Potter.
It's taking magic one step beyond. Correct. But I think that magic needs a voice. And again, the new is Adrian Brody just 6 months ago did the Houdini miniseries, which was well received.
Okay.
So it's there. It's still there. It may not be the Beatles, but it's still there. You know what I mean? I have another that might be interesting, may not. What happened to the comedy team? I don't think
like
it's dead,
that.
but it sounds like it's dead.
No, that's a good one.
Is Seinfeld the show? Is that the new comedy team, so to speak? Were they a comedy team? Were they like the Marx Brothers, the four Marx Brothers, or not?
Are there any comedy teams?
I think it's morphed into sitcoms.
Well, there's Key and Peele.
Yes.
Key and Peele are really big right
not,
now.
Yeah, are they? I don't know how many people know of them. I know that they're good.
This is another area where Doug and I usually butt heads over because I think he's stuck in the 80s.
I think 90% of the people listening to us right now have no idea who you just mentioned.
I beg to differ.
Well,
but I feel that part of my job is to come up with the new to get you current on what's going on out there.
Absolutely, of course. But
so
my point
Key
is,
and Peele are pretty big.
My whole point is whatever. My whole point is that the comedy team has morphed into the sitcom. There are no stages. No one's on stage doing comedy as a team at all, anywhere, ever. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I mean, well, also the Flight of the Conchords, they're a comedy team. They had a fairly successful HBO show.
That's what we'll debate. We'll get into the arguments you love to have. That would be perfect.
All right, no, that's good. I like that topic.
So that's a good one. Ooh, why are we playing Lost in Space?
Yeah, but we haven't mentioned Star Trek either. So
well, don't worry. All right, we're back. You can argue that there are. I'm talking about blockbuster comedy teams that are household names, like Abbott Costello, like Bowery Boys, like Three Stooges, like Martin
maybe not
Lewis.
In your household, but
Key
there are
Peele
people
is
out
not
there
a household name. It's no way. Mike, you have any idea who they are?
Yeah, I do actually.
And
I like them. Comedy Central, it's a little bit edgy, but it's good.
All right, so there you go.
They have a big movie coming out, too.
Good. Well, then maybe we wait until they do the movie and then revisit at that point.
Yeah.
Because you have to know that they're not as prevalent as they were. Let's put it that way.
No,
I think that's sad,
right.
but I also think Seinfeld was a comedy team. They were a well-oiled machine, but then again, maybe not because they never did it live. They're not on stage.
But a comedy team, so you're not just talking about two people.
Yeah, I don't know.
To me, that's a comedy
No, because
team.
Marx Brothers was a team, and that was more than two people.
So I thought you were going with the two people.
Well,
Okay.
I think we could. That just limits it a little bit. Because I think in this world, I don't think there's the comedy
So it could
team out
be an
there.
ensemble
I think that's what's happened is this developed. Like Art Carney and Jackie Gleason were a comedy team. They did it on television. They didn't do it on vaudeville. It was dead.
Right.
They didn't do it live. Back in their day, there wasn't any real live performances unless you had made it and did Vegas or something. So you can't tell me that,
Abbott and Costello, Stiller and Meara, like you always heard them in twos, but you're talking more of an ensemble.
Well, no, I'm saying that it's evolved into that.
Right.
I'm saying it's evolved into that.
I see.
I
see.
That's not my preference in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
I just think that art form is unique, and besides what you just mentioned, is not really like if it was very popular, you'd see it in comedy clubs. It's not.
Right.
And it's sad because it's a lost art. We'll be back and everything old's new again. Start those arguments you love to have.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Welcome. This is Davros from Doctor Who, and you are listening to Everything Old is New Again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen. Be very afraid.
I love that voice. Isn't that great voice?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, that's one thing we're not going to mention right now, but it's going to be obvious that we're going to go to additional conventions, try to get additional, to go to the Comic-Con and get additional interviews. We've interviewed people from TV shows, Black Sails, which is a big hit now. We got them back from way back when before.
Yeah. A lot of careers start right here.
Exactly. They pass
Just
right
when
through us.
When are ours going to start?
Exactly.
That's the big question.
They pass right through the show on the way up. And hopefully one day we'll actually.
All right, so we're recreating what Doug and I go through to come up with ideas. Usually the way it works is Doug tells me what we're going to do, and I go, okay, that sounds good.
No, you refine the ideas. There's no doubt that you refine the ideas into something that can be listened to with some degree of fun.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
All right, so what else you got?
I have the worst movie of all time, and don't say Plan 9 from Outer Space because we could throw that in there, but there have been a lot of horrible movies, and I want to go through some and maybe do, and it's a ripoff, but do on the radio, possibly like a radio version of Mystery Science Fiction Theater 3000.
Well, that was a ripoff. That was a ripoff of Woody Allen doing What's Up, Tiger Lily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would work with us. And
so we listen to the soundtrack of the movie and we spoof on it.
Right.
Huh. Not having heard it before.
Correct. It'd have to be straight out. A natural. We've never seen the movie, and
I like it.
Go with it.
Let's do it.
By the way, those other shows, those other what we're talking about, Radio
Mystery Science Theater 3000,
right? And
it's coming back.
What's Up, Tiger Lily? Yes, it is. Both. That's why I say both are scripted. They don't seem to be, but they.
No, I know.
So we would not be.
We'd be
scripted.
unscripted.
We'd be the real.
Also, translation unfunny.
Right. Exactly.
Let's do it. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would fit into the Everything Old is New Again genre.
I'm sorry, I keep saying radio. Mystery Science Fiction Theater 3000 is going to be back. They did a fundraiser. They've raised enough money for 4 episodes.
So we're going to celebrate that comeback?
Exactly.
Is that the
celebrate
angle?
Correct. Because every one of the movies that they've done, and we won't do their movies, but have been bad movies.
Okay.
And I want to do it. We pick. There's plenty of movies. We'll pick our own couple and go through it and explain what happens maybe in the first section in the history of this whole thing.
Good.
And then the next 3 would be us doing, let's say, 3 different movies.
Nice. Let's do it.
But they have to be movies that the audience has heard before.
Right.
Or seen, or some of them have.
But we haven't. That's going to be tricky.
We'll have to see.
Okay, good.
All right, or at least one of us hasn't. You know what I mean? For a while. So that'll be good.
Okay. How about this? How about the best, and I'm going to couch it in something more relevant, but the best and the worst long-form TV shows? Because you talked.
What's a long-form TV show?
You were talking about we're in the golden age of television right now. A lot of it has to do with the serial format, like Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. So I don't know if it's an industry
with
term,
long arcs, you mean?
The long arch,
okay.
Right? So in other words, it's not just episodic TV where you don't have to know what. Right. But these this new genre of these long form, they're basically movies that are stretched over years and seasons.
Like Boardwalk Empire and
Vinyl, right. So I think it would be great to figure out so far what your favorites are, what my favorites are, but under the guise of, old, new again, how has television morphed into that? And I think back in the old days, it's sort of come around again, because when you used to go to the movies, there used to be these serials that they would play in the theaters, and you would go and see them before the movie started. So there was sort of this long form. I don't know if the story arc was long.
Well, you mean
form,
like a Buck Rogers or something like that?
Yeah.
With a long story. I like that idea.
Right.
It definitely came from the serials, the movie serials. I think that's a great idea, because we are at the point where there's enough of those that it's become something of
its own thing, right? That you can do a best of, worst of.
And we've had Terrence Winter discuss that a little bit about. He defined it for us. We could kind of use that quote that we could from our own show.
Much better than I ever could. Right?
He did define it beautifully, and that is a good one. I like that.
Okay.
As we always do, we've done best of stuff a lot, and we really have a lot of fun with that. It really works out well. I think that's a good one. That's a good one.
And we could always put our own idea for a new long-form show. We could brainstorm on that during that episode.
This is going to be short because I don't know the facts on this.
Okay.
So don't press me too much on what it would be, but I know there are tons. I've done the research in the past. I think it's very interesting. Ancient inventions that are still in existence today, like the Colosseum, that you don't realize, like makeup. Women's makeup was invented in Egypt in like 5,000 BC, still used to this day. Is that interesting or not? I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there as an idea. If you look at that and see what we still have that hasn't been improved upon, I don't know if toilet paper is one of them, but stuff like that, things that you have in your everyday life that you don't realize when women are putting on their eye makeup, that goes back, 15,000 years or whatever the heck it is.
So not old, new again. It's just
Well, it's old and it's still here.
It was new then. It's still current now.
Like that would be the greatest inventions of all time.
It never went out of style. Things that never went out of style. In other words, didn't go through that cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've looked them up, especially in the Roman days. There's a lot, especially in architecture, when they created the vaulted ceilings and different things. But maybe that would be ripe for a guest too, someone that that's a kind of an engineer in antiquity, or that old show from 5 years ago, Engineering and Empire. And I'm not just talking about engineering though, but I'm saying that kind of lends itself a little bit to this.
It could be, part of it could be in a quiz format too, right?
Yes.
Some of the things that you think might be new but aren't. So you'd do a multiple choice. You could do some for me and vice versa.
Yes, I like that.
That's cool.
Because I think it's really interesting, and we talk about entertainment and pop culture, and that's what it's all about. This is part of pop culture. Let's just say shaving. I assume shaving goes all the way back to the beginning of man, if we could kind of see and investigate.
Humankind.
Right. See what in the world where it came from, and I don't know, just some history of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's
There's always Wikipedia for that stuff, so... Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. You have any others on your list there? Or no?
Well, it's the same junk I was spitting out before, but maybe we could make it into, I don't know, I love the breakfast cereal thing. I'm thinking the best packaged cupcake/cookies, ring dings and yodels, that kind of stuff. And maybe just toys that we just... trashy toys we'd like to see come back again, have them make more.
How about we do one just on what we would call junk food? Breakfast cereals and what you just talked about. It's a larger topic, and do like a renaissance on that. It doesn't even exist. I used to walk into a deli, and I'm telling you, first of all, delis barely exist anymore.
Right.
And when you walk into them, the shelves are kind of bare. When I walked into a deli, they had, and we can kind of get pictures of this and show what existed in the deli back in the day.
It was wall-to-wall.
Wall-to-wall stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
Almost like a 7-Eleven kind of now, but not really. I'm talking about
Has the fun gone out of marketing? Has the fun gone out of consumer products aimed at kids? I don't know.
Has food?
You have young kids. I mean, what are they looking at now? Is it fun anymore? I mean, what are the commercials like?
Hey, there is
something
fun.
to think
There
about.
is fun, but it's not as fun.
It's wholesome fun.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, even they changed, and it went back to a Cookie Monster. How to go from Cookie Monster to, I think it was Veggie Monster.
I heard
back
of that.
to Cookie Monster. I mean, come on. There's too much. So yeah, there's something there. Veggie
I don't know,
Monster.
but so the old new again angle. I don't know.
Well, it's the new food. What is the new food? What's the new junk food? What is the new junk food?
What is the new junk food? That would be interesting. Yeah.
And what was junk food? I mean, if you could find it, what was junk food back in the day? What was junk food back in the Aegis? What did Rome have?
Cavemen. What was their junk food?
Exactly. It was probably, a gecko tail, but it's a little different than now, but
nacho style.
Exactly.
Jalapeno.
we could get, the delicacies of, they know what the Romans ate. They know what the Greeks ate. They know in the Middle Ages what they ate. We can talk about kind of like what was their junk food. Like pie back in the day in the 30s and 40s was the candy of the day.
Yeah.
So we could, kind of examine
But even, butter is making a comeback. Did you know that butter is now being considered, in a lot of circles, a health food again?
Right.
So what? What? Really? So, yeah, maybe there's something there.
Yeah, there's definitely something. What's the new junk food? What is the new junk food? All right, well, we'll come on back. Everything Old is New again. Do this kind of a show down the line again, and we talk about Star Trek, which is coming.
We'll have to listen to this and see if it's worth doing again.
Exactly.
I think it was pretty interesting, man.
We'll have to see. Let's get some feedback.
Was this your idea?
Was it my idea?
I don't know. Listen, if it's really great, it was my idea.
There you go. Exactly. Well, we're appreciating you listening to us, but we'd appreciate even more some feedback. So please shoot us an email, everythingoldisnewagain.biz or oldnewagain@aol.com. Let us know what you think if that was a show that was worthwhile. You're the one that's very interested in our show because you're listening on the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? So you're the ones that are more or less the fan of fans. Does
Doug and David Unplugged. Was it interesting?
Exactly. Is there a future or not? Everything old is new again. Such as Star Trek 2017. Now there's a show.
You must be just salivating, waiting for that.
It's going to be tremendous. I better ask my advice at some point.